right, guys, welcome. This is episode 6 of the Bearzi podcast. For those that are new to the podcast, my name is Derek. I am a YouTuber, content creator, and aspiring filmmaker. And for today's video, we have Bryan Primetime back at it again with a redemption episode. Bryan, what's going on? How you doing?
What's up? What's going on, man? First one, we really messed up, so hopefully we do better this time.
Okay, so that to be perfectly transparent about what happened, we did episode 3. What episode was it?
I think it was 3.
I think it was 3
after Tina.
So the first half of the podcast was fire. The quality was really good. The audio quality was also top notch. But halfway through the podcast, we had technical issues with your camera and my mic. And halfway through, you can see that your video of you turned into just a still picture. And then my mic had this horrible buzzing sound or something. So we're here to do this redemption podcast to try to make up for those shortcomings in terms of audio and video quality, which is pretty bad.
I think I just screwed up on my end, man. I just forgot to record it again after the 29-minute time limit, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
So that was my bad on my end.
Well, the one thing is, though, after we messed up, I knew how serious you were about wanting to fix the mistakes we just made, because you were pretty pissed off that like the video messed up halfway, and you almost wanted to just scrap the whole episode and reshoot it, right?
I was actually serious when I was telling you. I was like, dude, let's just scrap this one, you know? I just wanted to see what you would say.
Yeah, I just wanted to post it.
I don't know, I was so pissed off, dude. Especially being like a video guy, man. Like, how did I screw up the video part? Right?
Hey,
if I messed up the audio part, okay, that's fine. But I screwed up the video, so I don't know. I was a little pissed off at myself.
Yeah, I feel you, but it happens to the best of us, right?
Yeah, it's a good mistake, man. So now we're like extra careful and we're making sure that everything is running smoothly. Hopefully, we'll see after this is all done.
Well, also the way I see it is, it's better to make those type of mistakes in the beginning, because they really stand out to you. And then now down the line, both of us will never make, well, not never, but we should never make those exact same mistakes again if we learn from what happened, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully, man. But we'll see, man. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's just kind of rough.
I do have a nice drink in my hand. So
you have a nice drink in your hand.
Later on.
Yeah, and I need to not touch my mic or not touch the table or something. I don't know what it was, but it was causing this horrible feedback type of noise, so I definitely need to work on that. But hey,
was it your phone?
I don't know what it was. I think I was touching the table or the cable, and it caused like this horrible feedback noise through my Blue Yeti mic in post whenever I was going through the audio from my end. And I use like an Adobe denoiser or de-reverb to kind of reduce it, but it wasn't perfect, right? So I don't know what I did.
I thought it was fine. Man. Your audio was good during the first one, but the main thing was me cutting out of the video halfway through. I think that was the biggest change in the video. That was like really noticeable.
Oh yeah, you just had like a still picture.
Yeah,
still face picture of yourself.
Good combo though, man.
All right, so we're gonna call this episode the redemption episode, kind of like the
pod.
Team USA redemption team from losing in the Olympics.
Oh man. Thank goodness I'm not Isaiah Thomas, bro.
Isaiah
Thank God
Thomas.
you invited me back.
Isaiah Thomas is trash. Well, speaking of basketball, what'd you think of the Michael Jordan last dance? Last doc.
Last Dance.
The last doc.
Well, I loved it because I was like I told you before, I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan, right? And I thought like the timing of the release too was just perfect because we had nothing else to watch. Like we had nothing else to. Yeah, we had no basketball at all. So that was our basketball at that time. But just how they captured everything, it was just amazing, dude. I know a lot of people started hating Jordan after it because I guess they saw the side of, his bullying side. But I don't know. I always knew that Jordan was kind of because you have to be that type of leader for you to win championships. That's what I think. That's why Kobe was the same too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I loved it, man. I loved it. It was one of my favorite documentaries.
Well, if you're gonna be an extreme winner to the level that Michael Jordan was, you're not going to be a nice guy. There's just no ways around it. It's because winning at a professional sport at that level, you're gonna step on other people's toes. You're gonna have to hold other people accountable, right? And you're gonna have to be nasty to your teammates sometimes. So
exactly,
it's kind of unfair, the type of criticism that people give him. Like, he won 6 championships and he was undefeated in the final. So of course he's gonna be kind of ruthless, right? Because you had that kill or be killed mindset. And I felt like the documentary did a great way of showing how much he cared about winning and how great of a winner he was.
Yeah, dude, it was amazing. But then people compared him to Tim Duncan, the guy who's like the exact opposite of Jordan, who's like humble, quiet, he didn't barely spoke. But then he won like how many championships too, right?
Yeah, he won 5, right? 5
yeah,
titles.
Just different leadership styles. But I can see like why Jordan needed to be that way though.
Yeah, that's true, because Duncan led by example, right? He let his game do the talking, and he kind of was more like a comforting leader where he would bring his teammates up instead of trying to bash them to improve through fear tactics or whatever that Jordan was trying to do. And they're just completely different people, though. I feel like that's an unfair comparison, right?
Yeah, like I said, everyone has different leadership styles, right? So I feel like it worked for Jordan. It worked for Kobe. I see it in LeBron, too. I feel like he has to be that type of way for his team to kind of come together. But I guess it's not for everybody.
Yeah, I feel like LeBron has developed it over time. Like, he wasn't that guy in the beginning. And it wasn't until he lost to the Spurs and he lost to Dallas and he kept having all these defeats that he realized that he needs to be more tough, right? Not just always having fun.
Do you think the Bulls would have won again if they stayed one more year after the 97-98 season?
Oh, the year in between?
Yeah, the year that San Antonio won, I think.
Oh,
With
you
David
mean
Robinson?
after the 6th championship?
No, after. Sorry, yeah, after the 6th one. I know they would have won if he stayed after the 3rd one they won when he went to go play baseball. If he stayed, they would have won for sure.
Because then they faced
Like
Houston.
they were on
right?
a roll, man. Yeah, they
Faced
would have won.
Olajuwon,
But yeah, it's just the year. It's just after the 6th year. I guess he was a bit older, and a lot of the guys on the team wanted to leave as well, right? But if they were able to keep the team intact, do you think they would have been able to capture that 7th title?
That's tough, because especially when a player is at the end of their career, the fall off in terms of skill and endurance is sometimes dramatic. Because Jordan was what? He was past 35?
36 probably.
Right? So
Yeah.
he's over 35. And that's not just to say that he would digress. It's his whole entire team would also digress too, because they were fairly old in terms of average age on the roster, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I feel like you can make an argument that they would still win and defend, because you have Jordan. He's still prime, not prime, but still really good compared to the competition.
Yeah.
But also, how motivated would he be to try to go after a 4th, right? That's the real question, is how motivated would he have been if he came back and the whole team came back? And we don't really know, right?
Well, when he came back to the Wizards, he was what, almost 4 years old?
Yeah, then he's like 40, right?
Yeah, but then I guess the guys were Hubert Davis. I think I read from you remember that guy, right?
Yeah, he played on the Knicks.
Hubert Davis
back in the day.
Yeah, he was saying that Jordan was still the best player on the team then.
In Washington.
So in Washington. Well, they didn't really have anyone on that team, but still, man, I think they would have won another championship if they were able to keep Pippen and like another role player, like Rodman or something.
Yeah, because I feel like after he left was the time that Reggie Miller and the Pacers and Iverson and the Sixers and Jason Kidd and the Nets kind of took over the East, right? Weren't those the teams that started to win the East after he left?
Yeah, I think Indiana and New York were.
Oh yeah, and the Knicks too.
In the East Finals, yeah, and the Knicks.
Yeah,
But I think they would have taken it, man. They still had it, man. Jordan, he was still able to play when he was in Washington. He wasn't as fast as he used to be, but that was, 3-4 years after everything happened. So if he stayed one more year, or if they were able to keep that team for another year, I think it would have been the 7th championship.
I feel like 100% they make the finals. They get out of the East 100%.
Yeah.
And then in the finals, I feel like anything could happen, but I would definitely favor them over whoever comes out of the West, right?
That's true, man. Because San Antonio had a nice team too.
Yeah, man. Tim
Dude,
Duncan is
yeah.
just that guy. Just wins, man. I don't know. He's really good. I respect him more now that he's gone because I never was a Spurs
Wait,
fan.
was Tim Duncan part of that team already? I
Uh,
don't think so, right? With
the
David Robinson?
first, yeah, wasn't it? Because isn't that
First
the
one.
first
I
title?
don't,
It's Duncan and Robinson, right?
I don't remember, man.
Because Duncan was
I just
like
remember-
a second-year player.
Too bad we don't have our other friend Juan. who's
Oh
a
man, yeah,
huge
he would
San
know.
Antonio Spurs fan. He would know. I don't remember. I just remember David Robinson leading the way, but it could have been like a rookie Tim Duncan.
Because I remember the Spurs had Sean Elliott and David Robinson, and they got injured, right? And then they tanked, got the first pick, and then Duncan came out of Wake Forest or something, something like
Yeah.
that, and he was the first pick. And then I feel like it was his second year the Spurs won the title. Oh man, I don't
I
know.
don't remember, man.
My memory is shot right now. Well,
We
we'll
gotta- we gotta-
research
we
it
gotta call
after.
Call a friend right now. Call a friend.
Call a friend.
and,
Oh
and
my
connect him.
gosh.
Connect him on this pod.
Yeah, that's true. We're getting old, man.
But dude, that documentary was probably one of the best, man. I also like that documentary they did on the what's it called, the Fab Five and the Detroit Pistons team, the Bad Boys team. They had a 30 for 30 documentary by ESPN. Dude, those were so sick too.
Oh, I never
They just
saw
showed
it.
you a lot of the behind the scenes as well. It's just one episode though. It's like an hour long, but it was so good.
Oh, like Chris Webber's college team?
Yeah, dude, that was so good
Jalen
too.
Rose.
Yeah.
Who else was on there? Juwan Howard.
Juwan Howard. Yep,
And there's two more.
can't remember the other guys.
Yeah,
Those were the
two
main
scrubs.
three, though. But like even the Detroit Pistons one, the Bad Boys one, it showed you like when they started implementing that Jordan rule thing.
Oh, yeah,
where
that
they're,
was
like,
crazy.
kinda like, oh god, dude, they're dirty. They're such a dirty team, but I actually I love the way they played, man. I love how they figured it all out.
Mm-hmm.
It was so cool. It's just how it all came together. It's so cool.
I kind of miss that old school style of physical basketball. Because now you see all this running gun, shoot a three, no one goes into the paint. There's no physicality, just tic-tac fouls. And if you jump, like, oh, you have to protect the shooter and all this stuff. And it's just a completely different game. And you can see that in the scores. Because in the Last Dance doc, when they're showing some of the NBA Finals games, it's like 77 to 80. And then now you'll have a
Yeah.
regular season game that's like 154 to 150, which is like
That's
double.
That's like a halftime score now, right?
Yeah, it's
70,
crazy.
70, 80.
And I miss those games of, pick and roll, post up, big man gets the ball. Like it's just a completely different game now, and I kind of miss it.
I guess they try to evolve the game. So I guess the commissioner, either Stern or Adam Silver, they made it more that way, right? More of that run and gun kind of pacing.
Yeah, that's true. Because of the rules, too,
even with
right?
the shot clock, man, the way they reduced it to
Oh, yeah, if you
14
get the
after
rebound.
you get rebound, so you get more attempts throughout the game.
Yeah, that's true.
So I feel like that's why a lot of the scores now it's like 120, 130 above.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because you're forced to shoot a lot quicker than if you were to get offensive rebound and get 24 seconds. But I feel like that's a minor problem. The biggest problem is the three-point shooting. Because I feel like that is the biggest culprit of today's game. And I remember I was on a subreddit, and I don't know if you ever searched through NBA subreddits, but this guy had a proposed change to the court where the three-point line on the baseline in the corner, the line runs into the exact corner of the court. So there is no corner three-point shot anymore. There's just the diagonal extended.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm saying?
That would totally change it though, man. Because that's been around since like the beginning almost, right?
Yeah, that's
Since
true.
they added in the 3-point line. But would you like that kind of change though? Don't you think that'll I don't think it'll totally change the game, but I think it would be like a big change to the game.
Yeah, it would definitely be a huge change to the game because a lot of guys like PJ Tucker, for example, have extended their career by, specializing in that corner three-point shot, right? But if you look at how the court is designed, the 3-point line is meant to be an arc. It's meant to be a curve, right? And at the top, above the free throw line, it does curve like a circle, right? But as it gets to the ends in the corners, it straightens out. So it leaves you this weird rectangular space where you can just stand there and just sit there. And it forces the defense to extend themselves outside of the key, right? And so the argument is that because of how the court is designed, it's a flaw and that it makes the game unbalanced. And by running the 3-point line as it should naturally curve directly into the corner, and it removes that artificial spot where you can shoot a 3 in the corner. You can still shoot a 3 from the corner, it's just a little bit slightly out to the right. It's not directly in the corner of the court. But what that does is it doesn't force the defense to artificially have to pull out away from the key, right? So I feel like there's pros and cons to implementing a system like that. But for sure, there's going to be backlash because no one wants to see a major change like that, right?
If it was to happen, I think the commissioner that we have now is the one to do it.
Yeah.
Like Adam Silver's the guy who
true.
like makes these type of changes, man.
He's very
I wouldn't mind seeing it, yeah.
acceptable of that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like you need to at least address it or maybe keep the 3-point line with the corners as it is, but make the rest of the 3-point line a little bit further out. You know what I mean? So it's not all just about shooting threes, because now the analytics states that taking a 2-point jump shot is a bad shot and it's a shot that you shouldn't take. And that seems kind of crazy where mathematics has turned the game into a layup and threes only type of game, right? And I don't know, it feels weird to me. It feels it's too mathematical and it's not natural, right?
There was a chart that I saw online where it showed like the shots being taken back in like the 90s and as compared to now. And you see a lot of them back then in the 90s all mid-range.
Oh, really?
And now it's just like, yeah, like you said, layups and like 3-point lines, like majority of them. So it just shows you like how much it's changed.
Yeah, because if you're not shooting layups or you're not shooting threes, then you're gonna be benched, because those are all that NBA head coaches want you to do now. It's to shoot threes, and if you can't get a 3, then drive to the net to try to get an easy bucket or go to the free throw line. And guys like DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge, who have this mid-range game, get crucified. And then you see with how poorly their game has aged, with the Spurs not even making the playoffs this year, right? And they have both DeRozan and Aldridge. And it's just a mess, man.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I feel like even like when I was watching the older games, a lot of them, like Steve Kerr and them, they took a lot of like shots just inside the 3-point line. And I felt like it was just so normal then. They'll like step in and they take a shot.
Oh,
like,
I
if
see.
they did that now, like you said, man. Yeah, like I feel like if they did that now, they'd be benched.
Well, maybe their mindset was, if I take a step in, it makes a shot slightly easier to make, so it's worth it to make the 2 than take a 3-point shot, which is deemed as a difficult shot, and miss it, right?
Yeah.
But now mathematics has proved that wrong, though, because look at Carmelo. He did that shit in Houston, and like everyone just bashed him, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like there needs to be some type of reform, but I have no idea what Adam Silver is going to do, though.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Let's see what happens first in the season. I think they agreed on, or I don't know if they agreed on it yet, but playing in Orlando and cutting it down to 20 to 22 teams.
Oh, really?
Starting end of July.
Is it confirmed?
I don't think it's confirmed, but I think it's what they're proposing to everyone.
Okay, so how does that look like? 22 teams?
There might be like a play-in tournament for the seeding, which I think makes sense. So those teams that are like in a playoff hunt or like close to making the playoff, they'll get a chance to possibly make it in, right? So,
but how does that work? If you have 22 teams, does that mean only seeds 1 through 6 are guaranteed, and seeds 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 all have to play a tournament?
I don't know.
Because why is it 22?
So. I'm not sure, man. Yeah. I guess they took all the teams that were in kind of like a playoff hunt. So the teams that were like guaranteed playoff spot and the teams that are kind of close to making it in, and then just put it all together. So that's what I'm thinking. Thinking that's how they got the number.
Okay, because if it's like that, that would sound like Dallas, Memphis, Portland, New Orleans, and then one other team, like the 7, 8, 9, 10. Because if you have 22, right, you lock in 1 through 6, that's 12, and then you have 10 more teams play. Well, I don't know. It depends. I guess unless you lock in 7 also, and then you have 8, 9, and 10 play for that. But then that's kind of unfair to Memphis, who have been in the 8th seed already, right?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know how they're going to do it. But I think right now everyone just wants to play. Like if it's just to play a few games just to hopefully make it into the playoffs, I think they'll just take it.
Yeah, I feel
Except for Damian Lillard.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too. He was not
He doesn't want to play. Yeah, he said he wants to play for something. Which makes sense, man. Like, why would you play like 5 games and just 5 meaningless games and get a chance of catching something? Right?
Yeah, you run the risk of getting corona, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely not worth
doesn't
it.
Make any sense?
If he has no chance to make the playoffs, then why even bother?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's also hard because what if teams like Phoenix, for example, who are out of the playoffs, but they need that extra revenue, so they might be asking the commissioner, hey, have all of us play because we want that extra revenue because we're losing so much money. But then they're playing meaningless games as well. Like, I feel like the argument is never going to be resolved because there's going to be way too many issues that conflict.
Yeah. There's always going to be someone who's like disagreeing with whatever they decide on, right? So
yeah, 100%.
It's tough being a commissioner right now, man. So
yeah, I don't know what he's going to do.
Guys for
because if he poses the reseeding of 1 through 16, all the Eastern Conference teams are going to vote against that because the Western Conference teams are so much better, right? You want to stay within the East, so they're going to vote against that. And then if you want to do a play-in tournament, teams like Memphis and Dallas are going to vote against that because, hey, we were in the 7, 8 seed after 65 games. We deserve to be in the playoffs. This is where we are, right? How is that fair? And then obviously on the flip side, New Orleans and all those other teams that are on the bubble are going to be like, oh, no, there's still 15 to 20 games left in the regular season. We were going to catch you, right? So there's always going to be a counter argument to whatever system that Silver poses to these teams. And so I feel like at the end of the day, he's going to have to make a judgment call and pick the best system that he thinks is fair and just kind of go with it, because there's no way he's going to have a unanimous vote on how the NBA returns.
I think they released the numbers. A majority of them agreed to what Adam Silver proposed. So
the majority?
I think they're saying like, I think 75%. I could be wrong, but I know it's a high number.
Okay, so if it's 75%, that would pass, because I heard that they have to vote, right? And they have to vote, and they need over 20 votes in favor or something to move forward.
I think it'll pass.
Yeah, they got to, man. They got to do something because they're losing money, right?
I hope so, man. I need some basketball in my life right now. That's why I started making basketball videos for my YouTube tutorials.
Oh, yeah, that YouTube video was really good.
Thanks, man. But I just had to do something like basketball related. But it was fun. It was fun because I got to be Michael Jordan for 10 seconds and have my dreams shattered in like
because it's dinner time because food's ready.
Yeah. So if people don't know what we're talking about, just link the video.
I'll link the video. Check out Bryan Francisco on YouTube. He made a really sick edit of Michael Jordan, I guess. What did you call it? What did you call the video?
I tried to be Michael Jordan.
Oh, I tried to be Michael Jordan. Where he's shooting a basketball in his room and it goes like super slow motion. And as it goes into the net, well, just watch it. You'll see. It's really good. I like the part with the drill.
It was a big fail.
The drill was sick.
The drill. Oh, right. Yeah.
So explain that.
Dude, I've been using that
effect.
Yeah, so I've been using the drill a lot. So I've seen TikTokers and other YouTubers use it for other stuff. So I was like, I gotta play around with this because before I had a Lazy Susan, which is that thing that spins around on the table, right?
Yep.
Yes, and then so I started using the drill instead and just kind of like taping stuff on it. So with the basketball, I stuck it through the air pump hole where you usually pump air in, and I stuck the drill in there. Just made there. Yeah, So I stuck it in there, made it spin around in front of a blue Bristol board. So I did it in front of a blue Bristol board so that I can key out the blue in post afterwards. So just remove all the blue. So it just looked like the ball spinning. And then I just threw that on top of my other clip and put it in slow motion, and I got that fun little effect. It's like a little dramatic effect there.
Yeah, it looks crazy, but so the color of the Bristol board doesn't matter because everyone always uses green screens. So like, does it make a
blue
difference?
Or green. It doesn't matter. I guess it depends on what you're shooting. So if you have stuff that's green, or I guess like, say the object you have has a bit of green in it, I would probably just use a blue Bristol board just to kind of differentiate between the two colors, right?
Oh,
because if I use if I use a green screen plus have a green object, then
I'll probably
just key out it'll key out everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for anyone that has no idea what we're talking about, what Bryan did is by having a blue Bristol board behind an orange ball, when he's editing his video, he can remove the whole background to make the ball kind of like a PNG file, like a transparent background. So then you can place the ball on top of a different video clip. So you don't always have to use a green screen. It's just a color completely different than your object.
Yeah, it does the same thing. It's just a different color, and it was just what I had too, right? So I used it for a previous project. So.
Oh, okay. I always thought there's something special about the color green. I'm like, why green? Why is it always a green screen? Like, I never understood that.
Yeah. Well, I've just been using the blue one because it's the only thing I have. But yeah, if I had a green one, I'd use the same. I'd use it. But okay. It's just easier to key out those colors.
But isn't that stuff's like so tedious, right? Because you're keying out pixel by pixel around the image.
Well, for the program that I use, Final Cut Pro 10, there's a little plugin called Keyer where I just drag that on top and it'll automatically remove the green. But it's not always perfect, so I'll have to like tweak. Yeah, but if I shot it perfectly, where it's like the light, like the board is lit properly, the object is lit properly, and then I just place it on afterwards. Usually, sometimes I'll remove all the green, but if it doesn't, I'll just have to like tweak and just adjust the little options.
Oh, so that's what you're using in the tutorial? Because I don't understand how Final Cut Pro works. Yeah. Because you use that thing and it highlights all of the blue. So that's what you're using, Keyer?
Yeah. Yeah, it's called Keyer. So I just drag it on top and it'll remove everything. Well, most of it.
Oh, okay. Is there something like that for Adobe?
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure that
there has to be similar.
They gotta have something.
Oh man, because you know how I mask and keyframe stuff out. I zoom in at like 500% and then I click like pixel by pixel. So I don't know how else to do it.
What do you mean, like when you key out or when you're just masking?
Well, like say I remember I did a video about that museum we went to. Remember? And I masked out this face of a painting. And then I had to zoom in like 200%. And I clicked on the pixels around the face, like pixel by pixel. And it took forever just to keyframe the face out. And say if I were to do something with a basketball and a blue background, I wouldn't know that there's a tool to click on the blue and remove it. I would probably do the same thing of zooming in 500% and clicking pixel by pixel to remove the ball. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think you have to, but I do that a lot too, man. Masking is it's a lot of work.
Yeah, masking is a lot of work. It's tough.
It is a lot of work, man. So I don't know. In my past videos, I've just been trying to like play around with the keyer function a lot more instead of masking. Because when I started YouTube, I see majority of the stuff I did was just masking.
Oh,
like
true.
Masking out like a person walking. So I did a lot of it and just got bored of it.
Okay, now that we're actually on the topic of video editing, I wanted to ask you, I guess this is a good segue into cameras. I wanted to ask you some differences between filmmaking and creating YouTube videos in terms of gear. Because I've had a lot of questions from people asking me about what type of camera that they should buy if, say, they were starting a YouTube channel. But I feel like that's completely different if you wanted to get into something like filmmaking, right?
Honestly, I've been using the same camera for both, but it really depends on like what you're trying to do, right? Like if you want to make like an actual film, a short film, then you would probably want something better than a mirrorless camera. But like, I don't want to knock on mirrorless cameras, but like, you'll probably need like, I don't know. It just depends on like the type of quality that you're looking to get out of it. But to be honest, I feel like you can do so much with what they have out there with the Sony brands, like the A6000 brands and the 8000, 7000s. But sorry, A7 IIIs and A7 IIs. But I don't. Yeah, man. Like, it really depends on the person. For me, I can make a movie with the camera I have now. So, the A7 III, yeah, or even the A6500, man. Like, that camera is like, it's the lower end in the Sony lineup, but you can still do so much with it. I think it just all comes down to how creative you are with the cameras.
Yeah, that's true. But in terms of mirrorless cameras, we do have three options now. Well, three options that I'm aware of Micro Four Thirds, APS-C, and full frame cameras. Now, for me personally, if I were to just start, say, a YouTube channel or a simple vlogging channel, a Micro Four Thirds camera would work just fine. But if I was going into, say, videography to do jobs or gigs or cinematography, I feel like spending the extra money to get like a full frame camera makes sense. Would you agree with that?
Partly, but I feel like, yeah, like the camera that you had before, what was it? A Panasonic, which one was it?
G7.
G7. But like, you could have done a lot of stuff with that. I know like it was a little limited when you were shooting indoors, but that could also be fixed with the type of lens you use as well, right? So it depends on your budget, man, and it depends on what you're doing with it. Like, if you're trying to submit something to Netflix, then you'll probably need a higher end camera, because I don't think they'll accept these lower end mirrorless. But if you're just posting stuff on YouTube, you can use whatever you had before. But if you were, say, making stuff for clients, like I said, you can probably get away with it. But I used the A6500 for 2 years, and I use that to shoot a lot of my commercial stuff. So it just depends on how much you push it, man. You can make a lot of cool things with these like lower end cameras, man.
So it's more about how well you can use a camera than the actual camera that you buy.
I think so, man, because I feel like, okay, say you have a camera that's not good in low light like yours. I would just avoid shooting in the darker areas. I would try to find stuff that's areas that's a bit more, I guess, well lit. So just knowing your environment and knowing when to shoot. So you just got to get creative and just use what you have, man.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because now that my YouTube channel has slowly been gaining momentum, I've got a lot of comments from, random acquaintances and friends and coworkers that are interested in maybe not mirrorless cameras, but they're interested in the platform of videography. And my knowledge in terms of cameras is still fairly like intermediate to beginner. Like, I'm still like a novice when it comes to cameras. And what I've been telling people is, if you want to start a YouTube channel, I feel like a phone or a GoPro or whatever you have is good enough. But if you must buy a camera and you want to do a vlog or YouTube video, I feel like something like a point and shoot, like a Canon G7X, is a great option, as it's not too expensive. It has a flip up screen and you can use that to record yourself. But for people that have asked me about doing gigs like weddings or other types of videography gigs, I feel like I have been recommending the APS-C or full frame cameras, mostly because of how well they perform in low light. But what you're saying is, even if you have a Micro Four Thirds camera, as long as you have a few lenses or a lens that gives you options, you don't necessarily have to buy that full frame camera or have to buy an APS-C camera in order to do gigs.
Yeah, man. That's just me, man. I feel like you can make anything work, but, well, not just anything. You can't shoot a wedding with a GoPro, but actually,
have you ever seen anyone do that? Shoot a wedding with a GoPro?
I've seen someone shoot a wedding with a Canon G7X, which I don't suggest. Okay, so you can't shoot with just anything, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of low-end options there that you can go with and still make really good quality videos, right? Like the A6300, that's a camera that's around maybe, I think it's around $1,000 now, or even less if you buy it used.
Okay, that's not too bad.
It's pretty affordable for a camera that can do 4K. And that, if you have the proper lenses, you can shoot a wedding with. Because I shot with the A6500, which is like the model higher, but in terms of specs, everything's about similar. But yeah, that camera, man, I pushed it for like 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, hold on. So let's stay on the topic of gigs and 4K. So when you're doing work for clients, either shooting a wedding or shooting a commercial or a promotional video, do they want the video in 1080p and not 4K, right?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the client too, but majority of the clients I've worked with, they really leave it just up to me. I've had one wedding client ask me to do it in 4K, which I told him like I could, but like then I would have to avoid doing slow motion. So it's just like, my camera wasn't capable of doing a high frame rate, so that I wasn't able to put the clips in slow motion afterwards, right? So I told him that it wasn't the best option, so we just ended up doing 1080. But majority of them just let me do my thing.
So 90% of the time, people are happy with 1080p HD. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah.
They don't expect 4K at all.
No, not that time. Even now, man, I'm still shooting in 1080p, which I'm hoping to upgrade soon. Hopefully, let's see what Sony does though.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of the big time YouTubers. They still only shoot in 1080.
It's fine, man. Like the quality's still fine. It's not like it doesn't look. I don't know. As long as you're shooting it properly, it should still come out pretty clear and crisp.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, in terms of lenses, say for working jobs, videography gigs, is there a certain type of lens with a focal length or aperture that you feel like is a must-have?
So, in a full frame lens, I would use 24 millimeters. That's what I'm using now, because I feel like you can do a lot at that focal length. So you can still kind of it'll be wide, but you can still kind of go in and get tighter shots with it, right? So I feel like that's the most, well, for me at least, the most used focal length. But around 16 to 24 is usually really good. Another lens that I'm actually planning to buy soon is like a 24 to 70 millimeters. So it's just very versatile.
A zoom
right?
lens.
Yeah, it's a zoom lens. So it's very versatile. You can get your wides, you can get your tight shots. And it's probably actually a lens I would suggest to a lot of people getting into it. It's a good overall, like all around lens.
Okay, because I've had people ask me when I've been doing gigs at like the aquarium, right? They've come up to me and been like, hey, I'm starting off in videography. I have this camera. What type of lens do you recommend that I should buy? And I've always been unsure of what to recommend because, like you said, you shoot in 24 millimeters, right?
Yeah.
At full frame. And for me, I shoot APS-C, which is a crop sensor. So I need to shoot in 16 millimeters to match your 24.
Yeah.
And for anyone that doesn't know, that type of focal length gives you sort of like a wide shot where you can get a lot of your clients, people, promotional material or whatever inside of the shot. And it gives you a lot of flexibility. And what a lot of people have been asking me, what kind of lens do they recommend? And I feel like by going with a 24 millimeter for full frame or 16 millimeter for APS-C, it pretty much covers almost 90% of all the shots that I ever need. Do you feel the same way?
With the 16 millimeter?
Yeah, well, 16 for APS-C.
Oh, 20, yeah, for APS-C. Yeah, man, like I said, 24 is, I think, if you had to buy a fixed lens, I would go with 24. 24 to 30, around that range.
24 to 30.
Yeah, because I feel like you can get so much with that focal length. You can do, like I said, you can do the wides. You can go up and go up close and still get your tight shot. So if you had to get a fixed lens, I would suggest around that focal length.
Okay, and then if you had, let's say, some extra money to buy a secondary lens, what type of lens would you buy?
So your first lens is 24?
Yeah, so let's say you have a full frame camera and your first lens, you buy the 24 millimeter, and you have a little bit extra cash left over for a backup lens or a secondary lens. Then what would you go for?
Well, if you would like fixed lenses, I would probably get like like a 50 millimeter. So that will cover your medium to tight shots. But if you want something more versatile, just get a 24 to 70. 24 to 70 will cover that big range there, right?
Oh, okay,
That's
I
actually,
see.
yeah. So when I started shooting weddings back then, the first lens I had for my Canon was a 24 to 70 millimeter, and honestly, that was all I used. I had a 50 millimeter as well, but I just used the 24 to 70 for pretty much like 95% of my shoots.
Okay, so that covered like almost everything, that focal range.
Yeah, it's like it's so versatile, right? Like I said, you can zoom in, especially on a crop sensor. 70 would end up being what, like 100, I don't know, 110, 120.
Yeah,
So you
105,
get,
110,
yeah,
something like that.
105. So you get like a really tight shot, and then 24, you'll get like, I guess 24 millimeter on crop will be around 40 millimeters. So you'll get that medium, not wide, kind of wide. But
Okay, so it's in between
yeah,
tight and wide.
yeah. Hmm. But I like it, man. I was able to use it. I made it work, and yeah, you have so many options between the 24 to 70 focal length.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, in terms of audio, what would you recommend to a first time videographer looking to get work? Like, what type of audio equipment do they need?
I guess it depends on what they're doing. Is this like what, a YouTuber or someone just making like fun content, fun cinematic
Let's
content?
say someone that wants to get into the wedding business and shooting promotional videos or commercials for brands.
Probably start off with the mic attachment that you can put on top. So Rode, it's a microphone company. They make these microphones that you can put on top of your cameras, and that connects directly to your camera. So your audio enhances your audio a little bit, and that's good for, like, I guess if you're doing like interviews where the subject is right in front of you. But for weddings, I actually like having like a separate lav mic. So a lav mic is one of those mics that you clip onto your shirt just to get like better audio. So with the lav mic, you can hide it underneath the shirt. You can hide it underneath their blazer, depending on what they're wearing. And it's good to capture like ceremonies type content, or even when they're like at home just reading like a card or something, just to get better audio because it's really up close.
Okay, that makes sense. So for a wedding, getting the mic to attach your camera is almost kind of useless because it's too far away from your subject.
Yeah, if you're trying to capture them talking, then you probably can't use that. It's better to have like a lav mic on the groom. I tried to mic up a bride one time, and it was a mess.
How do you hide the mic?
Exactly, that was the problem. So that was like one of my first weddings. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna put a lav mic on the bride, and yeah, dude, it kept like falling down, and you can see the black like cords just hanging.
Horrible.
And I'm like, oh my god, how am I gonna fix this? And I had one
Oh,
on
that's
the
brutal.
so I had two lav mics. I had one on the groom as well. So his audio was good, but yeah, it was a mess, man. Because audio is a big part of a wedding too, right? You want to capture,
Yeah, for sure.
You want to capture their vows. You want to capture all the stuff that's happening between, just a little like behind the scenes stuff that you want to include in their video. So I wanted to capture all that, whatever she was saying too. But yeah, I don't suggest that.
Oh man, that makes sense. Now, when they're doing, say, the speeches, how do you record that audio?
Actually, yeah. So that's another separate, I guess, tool there. Another the recorder that you'll need to use. So what I do is I'll talk to the DJ, and I'll have a separate audio recorder, and I'll plug into their mixer. So as long as the mic is theirs, it records directly into their mixer, and then I record off that as well.
Okay, so you have to prearrange with the DJ in order to do that.
It could get messy though. So sometimes the venue will have their own system, and sometimes they don't let you connect to their system, and then you'll have to like improvise. So a couple times I had to like leave a recorder right on the podium.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just to
Like
get the
right where
audio.
they're standing?
Yeah, but then it doesn't work sometimes because some of the people doing speeches, they walk around. So once they start walking around, it's done. Like you lose the audio.
Oh, then you completely lose the
Yeah.
audio.
So then that's when I rely on my other backup. I guess my third option, the mic on the camera, which sucks. Like
Okay.
it's like it's not good. You capture everything. You capture like everything around you. You can hear the people working. The plates just kind of like banging on
Yeah,
each other.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
it's not good.
Because for me personally, I've only done one wedding, which was with you, where you pretty much guided me exactly in what I had to do. And it was mostly just shooting video on a tripod. And I didn't have to worry about audio levels or getting speeches or any of that other type of stuff. Now, say for example, you were a person that was just starting weddings. Is there a certain amount of gear you need to have in order to get into the wedding scene? Like, do you have to have audio covered, or do you just have to worry about shooting at first? Like, what would you tell someone that's just starting in wedding videography?
I wouldn't do it by yourself at first, unless you're doing it for a friend that doesn't really expect anything out of it. But I suggest being like a second shooter to someone that's a bit more established. That's what I did for like about a year. So I was just a second shooter. I wasn't too worried about like getting the main shots. I just followed whatever the other person directed me to do. It was good because then I learned everything as I was going, right? And I didn't have to worry about making like little mistakes that would totally mess up everything. Because as the main shooter, you can make mistakes, but it's the window's like, I don't know, it's just smaller. Like you're not. There's a lot of moments that you need to capture, and you got to make sure that you don't miss these moments, right? So it's a lot more pressure on the main shooter. So as a second shooter and doing that for say a year, I think it helps out a lot, man.
Okay, so as a second shooter, your main job is just to record video, and you're not concerned about any of the other stuff.
Yeah, that's what I did pretty much for the year. So he'll just give me directions. He'll be like, "Hey, Brian, I need this type of shot when the bride comes out, or I need you to capture the groom's reaction." So I had specific like tasks to capture, and it was good. It was a lot easier, and I learned things. I did make mistakes still, but it wasn't like it didn't destroy the whole video. So
Okay, yeah,
it
makes
was
sense.
good. Yeah, it was okay to make those mistakes, and I learned from it, right? So after about a year, I started doing it on my own, and then you'll start needing more equipment because then you'll need to make sure that you have proper audio equipment, and I guess hiring a second shooter is good as well, right? So that you can assign them tasks, but definitely start off as a second shooter.
Yeah, that's true. Because for this summer, I was really interested in starting to do some wedding videography or working at least a little bit into the field and getting my feet wet and getting some experience. But obviously, because of the coronavirus and where we currently are in society, that's pretty much not possible right now. But if I were a person that was just starting off in videography, and let's say I'm interested in the wedding business, and I have a camera, I have a lens, and I'm willing to start my career by doing second shooting, how would I go about getting that first gig or getting that first job?
As a second shooter,
Yeah, as a second shooter, like what would you do if you were brand new?
I would just ask around, man. Ask friends if they know people that are shooting weddings, and then just try to connect. Because the guy that I met him through, I think we talked about this in the first podcast. I had a website called what'sgoodtoronto.com, and I hired him as the photographer for one of the events, and then I just started talking to him. He said he did wedding videography full time, so then that's when I started doing wedding videography. I think it's just connecting, man. Just like asking friends, seeing who's in the industry already, asking event planners, other photographers, just ask around. But like you
So
said,
it's all about putting out that
yeah.
effort, just
I think
putting
so,
yourself
yeah.
out there, trying to network and talk to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially for your first year, you're just gonna have to do a lot of networking.
Yeah, true. Because I guess to put some context behind my question is when I do the Ripley's events, which is the aquarium where I shoot the videography for you, I get these questions from random kids that are either college students or they want to get into the videography business and they ask me questions on how did I start? What did I do? How do I find clients? And I had no answers for them because I know Bryan Primetime, right? And it's like, it's so awkward that I can't give them a proper response of where to start and how to begin. And I know that whenever you are starting a job, especially freelance videography, the hardest thing is finding that first client and finding that first gig. But it all comes down to how bad you really want it. And you pretty much have to put yourself out there and you have to hustle and you have to network and you just have to find a way to get that first client and get that first gig. And then over time, it does get better, right?
Yeah, because the more gigs you do, you end up meeting more people, right? So that person can know another person who has a business who needs video done, and then that person needs another video done, right? It just keeps growing the more you do it. And that's how I grew my client base. Actually, for what's good for Ripley's Aquarium, I wanted to do like a cinematic video for fun, and I just contacted them and was like, hey, can I get access to the aquarium so I can film a couple of things for my Toronto video? And they were just like, yeah, cool. And after I showed them that video, they were like, hey, do you can you shoot video for us? We'll pay you. So just,
oh wow.
And that was, I don't know what, 3 years ago. And then
So
they're
that's
still my
how it
clients.
started.
Yeah, and I'm still like working with them to this day.
Okay, so that's perfect. So that's a perfect story for someone starting out. So you reached out to a company and offered to not shoot a video for them, but just shoot a video in general. And then you showed it to them, and then that's what sparked the interest in the conversation of hiring you as a client.
Yeah, actually, I actually started like a mini course on this too, on how I contact brands and companies and how to get them to work, like how to get yourself working with companies like that, right? So basically, you show them your work, you show them what you can do, and then you kind of just lay everything on the table for them to be like, hey, do you want to work with us, or do you want to do stuff for us, right? So I think it's a good way for people to start videography if they want to start that as like a full time. Just pick a couple brands or companies that you want to do a video for, and just like I said before in your previous pod, just make sure it's aligned with your goals as well. So
Yeah, the type of content you want to do, right?
Exactly, yeah. So just just do a few of those and show them what you can do, and if they love it, you don't even have to do anything, man. Like your work will speak for itself.
Well, that makes sense. Now, in terms of money, say you're doing your first gig, would you just accept whatever the company offers you in order to book that first gig, lock in that work experience, and have that under your belt? Would you just take whatever value they offered you, even if you felt like it was undervalued?
I guess at first it's kind of hard to say no to it, right? Especially when it's one of your first gigs where you make money. So most likely, I think I said yes to one of my first gigs like that. But when I started doing Ripley's and stuff, I had like a base price, like a base rate that I stuck with and I based that off my per hour rate that I kind of gave myself. So I valued my work at a certain amount, and I just gave it to them. I gave them that price, and I say 95% to 99% of the companies I worked with, they just kind of like, yeah, sure, it's cool. I like it. We like it. We're good.
Well, that's cool. So find a price that you believe your time is worth and kind of do your best to stick to it, or at least stick close to it.
I think it's better that way because you just show them that you know you can do good work. You're not being cocky or anything. You're just like, yeah, this is my worth. I know I can do good work for you. Here's my price. Instead of like saying, yeah, whatever you guys want to pay me, I'll take it. Or, yeah, sure, that's good enough. Like, I don't know. You just don't sound confident that way. When you know your price, you know your worth. When you know your price and worth, you just, I guess you vibe differently.
So if you're showing the client confidence where you know exactly how much you're worth, say $100 an hour, and you're stern with your pricing, you know exactly where you stand, they kind of view your strength, view your like confidence in a positive light, and they're more willing to accept your offer.
I feel like for myself, that's how it's kind of like turned out. Like they believed in me more because I was confident in my work, especially when I was talking to them about what I can do. And so when I gave them my price, it was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. It wasn't even like a long discussion. And I'm just basing this off like maybe 5-6 different brands and companies that I worked with before in the past.
Yeah, that makes sense, because if I was in a position where I owned a company and I was trying to hire a videographer and he was like, yeah, I think I can do 50, but and like they sound unsure of themselves, then I'm gonna feel like they are unsure of their work, or
Exactly.
I'm unsure of their skill set. So I feel like having that confidence and knowing exactly what you're worth is a huge benefit
It
to you
is.
as a freelance videographer in the beginning.
Yeah, and they see it, man. And I think I had one earlier when I started doing work for clients, where I was like, yeah, I'm cool with whatever you guys want to give me, and they ended up not hiring me because I don't know, maybe they sensed that. I think they sensed that, oh, well, this guy just wants to just whatever. He's just down
Oh,
to
I
like make
see.
whatever money, right? Whatever we give him. So I just didn't sound confident, man. When you sound confident, I feel like you would it looks more attractive.
So by being nice and saying you're willing to work for whatever they're cool with was less likely to get to land you the job
Yeah,
than you straight up telling them how much.
you just gotta be a jerk like Michael Jordan, bro.
You just gotta be the goat.
Jerk.
Gotta be the goat like Michael
Nah,
Jordan.
man. You just gotta know like what you're worth, man. You just gotta. I know it's hard at first because you don't know yet. You don't know what you're worth out there, right? But after doing a few
Yeah,
years,
that's
kind of
true.
like get an idea. Just what I suggest is finding a per hour rate that you're good with, like that you feel that you're worth, and if most companies like having just like a flat fixed rate, so use that, calculate how long you think it'll take you to do the project, and then just give them a price based off your per hour rate. That's what I
Okay, that
usually
makes
suggest
sense.
to people. Yeah.
Because I know it's hard starting off in the beginning. It's always
Oh
the
yeah, it
hardest
is.
part of getting into a new trade or new profession, and especially with videography, where we live in a world of social media, and then everyone can see your past work or past videos through YouTube, Instagram, or any of these other platforms, and it can be really hard and difficult to start. And for me, I'm very fortunate to never go through those struggles, as I knew you and I was able to, kind of job shadow you and follow you on gigs and see your creative process and how you work. And then basically just flip it and then copy what you did and emulate your style in order to try to get the same type of quality. And I'm not bragging, or I'm not saying that I'm luckier than anyone, but I feel like I never went through that struggle of trying to find clients or trying to find gigs. And I think that can be a valuable lesson if you are a first time videographer that's trying to get into the field. And I think that's why I'm kind of interested in how you got started to where you got to today.
Well, you know what, bro? I'm not gonna help you anymore. I want you to struggle a little bit more.
Oh,
I'm joking. I'm joking, bro.
I just dug my own grave.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, man. I feel like this way, because there's a lot more than just that. Now you can focus on other aspects of videography, right? And the other aspects of cinematography that you can get better at. So I feel like, and that's what, like, if I find a person, or if I'm working with a person that I see, well, I see their dedication and they're passionate about the work, dude, I'll tell you everything I know. And I saw that in you, right? I saw that you wanted to learn, and I saw that you wanted to get better. So I'm like, dude, I had no problem telling you everything I knew. It's just that telling another person that say they're into it, but they're actually not, because they just, I don't know, maybe they're in it for the money. I don't know. For me, it's harder for me to just kind of like dish them all the info that I have.
All right, speaking of gigs, not only did you help me land gigs and help me get working gigs, also you did help me a lot with learning how to create content for my YouTube channel. Now that you are a more established videographer and YouTuber, is there one that you prefer more over the other? Like, would you rather do YouTube videos, or would you rather prefer doing gigs for videography?
Oh, dude, I love making YouTube videos. I just feel like I can be more creative with it. When I started doing weddings, I feel like with weddings, you can still get creative with weddings, but I feel like, okay, you got to capture the ceremony, you got to capture the park stuff, and then you got to capture the reception afterwards. So there was kind of like, you had to add these into the video.
Okay, so you're kind of limited to how far you can take the project creatively.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I feel like ever since I started doing YouTube, it's just like whatever's on my mind, man, I just create. And I've been working with brands that just kind of like give me like full creative freedom. Well, majority of them will give me full creative freedom to just do whatever I want, right? So it's pretty cool, man. So I can just kind of like get creative with the video ideas and implement the brands, their sponsorship bit into it. And it's been so fun. I love it. I never thought that YouTube could be like a full-time thing, like a career. I always thought of it as like a hobby.
Okay, it was kind of more like a platform where you could share your work and share your edits type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, when I started off, I remember my first serious video on YouTube was my trip to Hawaii. And
Oh yeah,
just
I
put
remember
on
that
there,
video.
yeah, it was just fun. It was just like whatever. It was just a fun like family trip video. And then after that, I got a couple comments or just like, oh, you should do tutorials. I'm like, okay, I'll share a couple of videos that I know about like masking and stuff like that. And after that, dude, I think within the first month, I started getting maybe like 2 or 3 a day, which is good. I was like, oh, I can actually get subscribers off this. It's cool. So I just started doing it consistently for maybe the first few months. And then I kind of stopped again in the summer. But after that, the more like it just showed me that whenever I posted consistently, my subscriber base would just keep going up. So I'm like, maybe I can make something out of this, right? Because I've seen people make money out of it. So I'm like, I'm just gonna keep posting the stuff I like, and then just see what happens. It took a while. It took about a year and a half, and so until I started making like decent money. But it was good, dude. Like you can make a living off it.
Yeah, that's true. But the other thing too about YouTube is that I wouldn't say learning curve, but the curve to success in the beginning can be very slow. So I feel like if you are pursuing videography, there is a lot of value in pursuing gigs in the real world to start off with. And then maybe kind of doing YouTube on the side and slowly build up your channel from there. Would you recommend doing that?
Dude, yeah, 100%, man. Like, I think we talked about this in your other podcasts, the previous podcast that we did. I did a lot of gigs just to kind of like keep the money flowing, right? While I started doing my YouTube stuff. And I suggest that if you want to do videography or if you want to create stuff on YouTube full time, it does take a while for it to get there, and that's not the same for everybody. So I would suggest, like, if you want to stick in the videography field, just make sure that you just keep contacting people and keep doing gigs on the side while you're building your YouTube channel. And that's pretty much what you're doing now.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like that's a good way to do it because when you start off a YouTube channel, you think it's going to progress in a linear fashion where you're going to release X number of videos and then you're just progressively going to gain subscribers. But what a lot of people don't tell you is that when you start your YouTube channel and where you get to in the future, it can be completely different. Because I know for myself personally, when I started, I was in a completely different niche. I was doing a completely different style of video. And it wasn't until I kept creating videos and learning more about videography along the way until I really found what my true voice is and when I really found what the true type of content was that I wanted to create. And I feel like if you don't go through those beginner steps, you'll never really know where you're going to get to. And YouTube can be completely random. Like it's almost impossible to say, okay, I'm going to start a YouTube channel on January 1st. And by September of the same year, I'm going to be a full-time YouTuber. I'm going to have a business. Like when you have a plan or a mindset like that, it's almost impossible because the type of content you create on January 1st not until 9 months later can be completely different. And I know that's the type of experience that I've been through.
Yeah, dude, you can't set a date on it, man. You just got to let it happen. Like if you really love what you're doing on YouTube or if you love making the content, I know it's going to suck at first because you're not making the money, but like it'll still be fun since you're enjoying the type of stuff that you're doing. But it's just different for everybody, man. Like one person can blow up in 3 months or it could take another person 3 years. Another guy I've been actually analyzing a lot is Mr. Beast. It took him a while. He put up a lot of like gaming type video. And if people who don't, I'm pretty sure most people know who Mr. Beast is, but he makes those like fun videos where he like gives money and gives like his friend tasks to earn certain things, which is fun. He makes like a lot of fun videos. But yeah, I analyzed his work and he made a lot of videos for the first, I think 3-4 years. It was just all gaming stuff and nothing really happened. So it's different for everybody, man.
Yeah, his channel was completely different. When he started, I remember he was playing like Minecraft and other random games. And then he started posting these videos where he would count from 0 to 1,000,000 in the same sitting, or he would read every single word in the dictionary. Like, he was doing these extreme, far out there video ideas that no one had ever done. And if you look at the type of content he does now, he likes to give money away to people in need. He likes to give money away to strangers. And that's completely different from playing Minecraft with his friends. And I feel like if he didn't go through those first steps, you'll never know where YouTube will take you. And I feel like if you are a person out there that wants to pursue YouTube, this is a very important fact that you need to understand about how the progression is not like a normal job where you get an education, you get an entry level position, and you work your way up through the company in a linear fashion. YouTube can be right field, left field, all over the place. This sport, that sport, this niche. It can be so random. There's no way you can plan for where you want to go.
Yeah, exactly, man. You just gotta have like a goal, I guess, kind of a goal of what you want to do on there and the type of content you want to make, and just keep doing it. And I feel like consistency will pay off in the long run, as long as you're making valuable content.
Yeah, that's true. So now that you are a successful YouTube creator, you have over 92,000 subscribers at the moment and over 4 million views on your channel. 4 million, right?
Yep.
I think.
Okay,
so you've reached, well, it shows you how much of a fanboy I am. But you've reached a certain level of success. So if you were to give advice to someone that wanted to just start off YouTube, and I hear this question a lot where it's quality versus quantity, where people have been saying, if you want to start off YouTube, it's all about daily vlogging. You got to put in the volume. You got to release a video every day or every other day in order for the algorithm to pick it up. Or on the other side of the argument, you hear people saying it's all about quality. No one is going to watch a shitty produced video. You got to be creating videos of quality, even if it does take longer. So if you were to give advice to someone just starting off videos or starting off YouTube, are you on more the side of quality or quantity?
Quality for sure, dude. But like, I've talked to a lot of people like that before too, where it's like, it's always, oh, you got to do this. You got to make sure it's this length. You got to make sure that your video quality is like this. I feel like just put the content out there, and we talked about this before. Just put it out there, and if you don't like it, that's fine. Just work on your next video and get better, right? So just keep putting content out there. I think consistency is such a big thing, because a lot of people want to make sure that everything is perfect before they start doing anything. And if you have a mindset like that, you'll never start. So work on the quality. Just quality, I think, over quantity for sure. So just work on the quality of your video. If it sucks, just work on the next one and just keep getting better. And I like going back to you again, because you started off doing the GoPro videos. You just started talking to the camera, nothing crazy about your videos. You're just talking to the camera, and that was it. And then you slowly evolved into cinematic, like film type videos. And that's 100% how I suggest people should do it too, man. Just record something, then get better.
Yeah, that's true. I asked a question about quality versus quantity because I hear a lot of these big YouTube growth gurus where they say, quantity is key. If you're not posting every other day, the algorithm is never going to pick up, and you got to put in that hustle, you got to put in that work, you got to put in that grind. But for me personally, I feel like it can be different for everyone, and it also depends on the type of content you're making. Obviously, if you want to be a vlogger, for example, then you got to put in those reps. You got to put in that quantity, and you got to keep, posting videos every day. If you want to be a daily vlogger, that's what it's about. But for me, how I viewed it is, okay, I want to make the best quality videos I can, but also staying to a certain consistency in terms of quantity. So for example, I wanted to post a video every single week, but when I did post, the quality was to the best of my abilities. And eventually, that changed. I wasn't able to maintain the one video a week, and I changed to 3 videos per month, which works for me because that gives me about 10 days to test my abilities and really put in the time and effort to release a video that's really good quality. Because what I believe is, if your content is really good, if your content provides value, if your content answers questions, people are going to find you, right? And it doesn't matter if you have 7 videos or 700 videos. If the quality of your content is that good, then people are going to watch regardless.
Yeah, man. No, I totally agree. And I think, I don't know, like I was actually just talking to somebody the other day. He said that he got turned off because of all the info that he was, I guess, absorbing through YouTube. A lot of them were saying that he needed to record like long videos and stuff, and he wanted to do something where it's like simple, like 2-3 minute video where it's just like doing his thing. So there's a lot of things out there that will discourage you and probably like, I guess, make you question your original plans, right? But just do it, man. Just post it up there, just put it on there. And just in terms of quality, what I mean by quality is just like not being perfect, but just focusing on like quality work that you believe in, not just having like 4K footage or having like a gimbal in your shots just to make everything smooth, right? It just has to be quality, quality, I guess valuable is what I'm trying to say. Just make sure that you provide them with something valuable that you believe in and that you actually like can stand behind.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense, because a lot of people get this paralysis. I call it gear paralysis, where they feel like because they don't have a certain type of camera that can shoot 4K, then their videos are going to be shit. But in reality, the biggest thing is your content. And a lot of creators say content is king, and that is 100% true. Like if the content of your quality is that exceptional, it doesn't matter if it's 1080p, 4K, or 720p and it looks like shit. If the quality of the content you're making is providing valuable information to the viewer, they're going to watch it and they're going to subscribe regardless. So I feel like there's a fine line in terms of gear and having a certain level of gear that can really sway people from starting a channel, which is why I was asking so many questions about gear earlier, as I feel like this gets a lot of people stuck from not starting the actual channel that they could make on the first day, right?
Dude, a lot, man. I meet a lot of people. Well, I've talked to a lot of people where they've been planning to do it for like months and some people even years, and they haven't started it because they don't have that right camera, or they feel like they don't have the right camera or the right audio equipment or something. It sucks, man, because you can, like I said, we were talking about it before too, like you can just shoot everything on your phone.
Yeah, that's true.
Quality stuff on your phone.
Like my phone can shoot 4K 60 where my Sony camera can't, right? So I can't even do slow motion in 4K with the over $1,000 camera that I have. And
yeah, exactly.
You shouldn't be discouraged by that, right?
Yeah, man. Like I actually had a project with Samsung a couple of years ago where we shot footage on the S9, and the whole video was shot with the S9. It's just to show people that, yeah, you don't need, like, yeah, it's nice to have a mirrorless camera or like something higher than that, but you can do stuff with the stuff that you have in your pocket, with that phone you have in your pocket that you use every day, right? And it was just cool. It was cool just being able to show like how powerful a smartphone is now.
Yeah, because the cameras in our smartphones nowadays are so much better than what they were just say 10 years ago in 2010. But aside from gear, another thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of YouTube channel is the type of growth that you would expect. Now, a lot of people say that you need to put in at least 1 hour, or not 1 hour, 1 year of creating consistent content before YouTube actually picks you up. And I feel like it's kind of a mistake to have this arbitrary number or date in your mind to where, okay, by year 2, this is when the algorithm should pick you up. And I feel like that's kind of a mistake. But you should also be aware that if you've been uploading consistently for 7 years and it's still not working, then you need to realize that your videos just aren't that good. And, it might be mean to say that, but if you've been consistent for over 5 years and you're still not getting any results with your channel and you are expecting to grow, then that's when I feel like you need to lean more in terms of quality and figure out what's wrong with your channel or what can you do better. And I feel like it's kind of this fine line that you need to balance between quality and quantity, and also the expectations that you have for your channel. And it can be tough, especially for someone that's, an aspiring YouTuber, that's their dream and they're just beginning on the platform, right?
I feel like, I don't know, for me, consistency, just being consistent, it kind of helps you figure things out, right? It's like the more videos you do, the more you realize like, oh, I need to work on this type of content I'm doing. Oh, I got to remove these type of things that I'm saying in the videos, right? So I feel like consistency, I don't know if it's for everybody, but for me, like just being consistent and just working on videos on like a weekly basis or even daily basis, you just notice these little things and you improve, right? So if something's not working, then you try to figure things out. And I think it all starts with consistency.
Yeah, that's true. Because if you aren't consistent in the first place, you're never going to improve at the rate that you want to improve at. And I know this was big for me because in the beginning, I would spend, 7 days like editing my videos the best that I could. And I felt like this was the best quality video that I could ever make. It's going to be amazing. It's going to go viral. And then I post it, it gets 7 views, and I'm sad about it. But what you need to learn is by making your first video or making your 10th video or making your 50th video, as you post and as you create, the capacity of your skill in creating videos and editing videos will continually go up. And I feel like it's really important to know that as you are creating your videos, they're never going to be perfect. Your first videos are always going to be shit. But as you keep slowly progressing and as you stay consistent, then your videos will get to a certain quality, which hopefully the YouTube algorithm, again, will pick you up at some point. Again, we don't even know how the algorithm works, and if anyone tells you they know, I believe they're pretty much bullshit, because the algorithm is like an impossible thing to figure out. The best people or the highest channels just guess, right?
Don't even try it. Yeah, man. I don't even try to figure it out. I guess I still do it in a way where I don't know. I look at my stats a lot and I'm like, oh, what's happening? How do I trigger this algorithm? But dude, I think it's the wrong thing to do, man. I think you just focus on your content, and you can look at certain stats that tell you like, oh, this isn't working in my video. Like, I guess audience retention, where you see like certain drops during times in your videos. You can use that type of stat to make it better for the next episode or your next video. But everything else, man, just don't. I guess overanalyzing is not another thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Do that a lot, man. Yeah, because it would turn me off from creating. I'd be like, okay, I guess my videos suck. I'm not growing that as fast as this guy, right? So I don't suggest overanalyzing at all. Just look for certain stats, see what you can improve on, and just make your next video better, man.
Yeah, that's true. Another thing that's really helped me is, I know this kind of falls into clickbait, but the importance of your thumbnail and the importance of your title. I feel like you can't stress this enough. And it's sad that we live in a society where clickbait is king. That's what gets you likes. That's what gets you views. And it's part of the hustle. You need to make a thumbnail that's attractive, that someone will click on. And you need to have a title that is relatable to that thumbnail. And in the beginning, when I started off my channel, I hated doing thumbnails. I hated doing titles because I had no idea what I was doing. But I made the mistake of just letting YouTube pull one of the random frames from the video. And you know how it suggests you three thumbnails for you? And that's what I was doing in the beginning. And okay, so maybe for your first few videos, that's fine. But I feel like if your goal is long-term success on the platform, you really need to take your thumbnails and your titles seriously. And it doesn't have to be clickbait. It doesn't have to be some face going, oh my God, I won the lottery. Oh, I did this crazy thing. It doesn't have to be that. As long as it's something that is interesting, which you are authentic and related to the title, I feel like people will click, and that's an important thing you need to consider.
Yeah, dude. For like the longest time too, man, I hated creating thumbnails. But I guess the more I analyzed Mr. Beast, especially, you realize that thumbnail is huge, man. And these guys can spend like half a day or even a full day just working on the thumbnail, right? It just shows you that it's such a huge part of the video or on YouTube, because that's what gets people to click on it, right? The thumbnail and the title. So you definitely need to spend some time on it, but I don't know, for a beginner, I wouldn't want to overwhelm them. I guess everything leads back to just balance, man. Just put a little bit of time into your thumbnail, a little bit of time into the title, figuring out the title, and just balance out your time, because over time, the more you do it, you'll just get better and better.
Yeah. And I guess to put some context behind what I'm saying is, in the beginning when I was creating my videos, I put so much time and effort in the quality of my videos, the sound design, the music, the cuts, the transitions, and all my effort was put into the actual video itself. And then when it came to creating the title and thumbnail, I was just like, whatever, the video is so good, just post it. But then it gets no views because it's not enticing for someone to click on. So all that energy and effort you put onto the editing and the filming, it pretty much goes to waste if you don't spend at least some effort on the thumbnail and the title. Okay, hold on. All right, sorry. I think I just got disconnected. You still there, Brian?
I'm here, man. I'm still here.
Yeah, so anyways, as we were saying, I was just talking about how if you spend too much time on just the video itself, you're going to lose that time to spend on thumbnails and the titles of your videos. And now I know that your YouTube channel has reached a certain level of quality now. Is there any other tips or suggestions that you would give to someone just starting off on YouTube?
Based on just like how often to post, or like just like video quality? What do you mean?
Like if someone was starting off and you were to give them, say, the three most important tips on how to start a channel, what would that be?
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I'll go back to consistency again, because you want to keep posting consistently on your channel, and that's the only way for YouTube to start picking you up, and the algorithm to start picking you up, right? And then work on your style. Like, I guess a lot of people now, I want to use Daniel Schiffer because he's like one of the top guys right now. A lot of guys just watch his stuff and they try to just copy his work, like exactly his work, right? I feel like maybe finding your own style is better. Like, you can use a bit of what you learned from Daniel, a bit of what you learned from Peter, and just kind of like mix it all in with what you learned or what you like doing yourself, right? And just create your own style. So find your style, be consistent, and the main thing is have fun with it, man. If you're not having fun, you're going to stop posting. So if it feels like a job to you, then it's not going to last.
Well, perfect. So you heard it here from Bryan Primetime. Be consistent and find your own style and have fun with it. So that's the recipe for success on YouTube. All right, man.
Sounds very basic, but I think those three things will definitely help, man. Just have fun with it. That's the main thing. Have fun and balance your time out, especially in the beginning.
No, that's good advice. That's perfect. That's great for anyone out there starting on YouTube. So for anyone that's listening to the podcast, where can everyone find your work?
Just checking me out on Instagram at Bryan Primetime, and my YouTube is Bryan Francisco. So just do a key search for Bryan Francisco.
All right, perfect, man. Thanks for coming on the podcast. That was awesome. Thanks for the YouTube and videography knowledge.
Thanks for having me on the Redemption Pod, bro. Hopefully this one didn't mess up.
Yeah, hopefully it'll come out better this time. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. And Brian, thanks for coming on. All right, guys, peace. Yeah, that was good, bro. Man, why did the intro have to disconnect? Fuck.
I know, right at the end.